DeFi Kingdoms, where you can summon heroes, trade with other players, quest, and fight challenging enemies in a fantasy world brought to life in pixel art animation. Command your legion, claim your legacy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's AMA with DeFi Kingdoms. It is lovely to be back, and we appreciate everybody's patience as we ended up postponing the AMA from last week because we had several people traveling. But we are back and ready to go. Excited to be here with you all. First and foremost, Hubert, how are you doing today?
I am doing pretty well. How about yourself?
I got no complaints today, you know.
Nice.
Dreamer, lovely to see you, sir. You've been doing a lot of traveling yourself. How are you doing today, and how does it feel to actually be at home for once?
It's good. I like being home. Home is where the work gets done more. Traveling is where I just get sick almost every time.
Winston, how are you doing today, and who will you be fighting?
Hey, Bolon. Thank you. Did a little traveling over the weekend, so I've naturally got the old traveler's cold there. But yeah, hey, is that Dreamer over there? Hey, buddy, I feel like you've been running. Speaking of traveling, welcome back, man. You've been all over the place. It got to the point the price discussion gang was speculating that you were dead. Like they thought you were dead. So I'm glad you're not dead. I always knew you weren't dead. But they thought you were dead despite me assuring them that you're not. So yeah, welcome back to the AMA. It's great to have you here. Today I'm fighting T Heat. He's informed me that we're 2-2, so this is going to be a big game. And I decided I'm going to start keeping track of the record. He mentioned that he was keeping track of his, so I was like, that's shit, man. That's a great idea. I'm just going to start. You think I would have thought of this before now, but no. Nope. So I am going to be fighting him in a few minutes here. He asked for a tiny extension, so we're going to wait like 2 or 3 minutes, and he'll let me know when he's ready, and then we'll get started. Yeah, this just in. Bulletin, Dreamer, not dead. What else do I have? Oh yeah, I went and saw James Taylor. It was awesome over the weekend. An old guy threw up in front of me, and they just hustled. The crew hustled out there, and they had wood chips and all kinds of stuff to just clean it right up. I guess the altitude can do that to you if you're a sea leveler. You got a little too much beer in you, and all of a sudden
Can't take
there's not as much air to keep it down in your stomach, and so it just flies out of you. So that's wrong. That's not true, actually, Dreamer. But yeah, T Heat today. We're gonna do a level 15 bout and a level 20 bout with restrictions. I went a little heavy-handed on the restrictions this time, so hopefully I can win. We'll see how it goes. I have to abide by the restrictions too, I guess. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for me and what's going on with me today. So I'll fire it back over to you, but unless I missed one of your questions. You guys are yeah, okay, that's more like it. I thought Sarge was gonna rip on beer again. So.
No, he is. He was saying a cocktail with an umbrella, like a fruity cocktail, which are the best. Like if there's not 3 pieces of fruit and an umbrella on the rim of the glass, it's not worth drinking.
To each their own, I guess. I enjoy a cocktail too sometimes. There's this place by my house that does it's like a Manhattan style sour. It's really weird. I don't even know how to explain it, but it's really tasty. So, all right, it sounds like T Heat's ready to roll. So he's almost ready to roll. So I'm gonna switch over and get that screen up so that I'm just waiting for him. So
All
thanks,
right.
Bolon.
Thank you, Winston. Appreciate you. We do have a few updates we're going to roll through and then get into some questions. I'm going to save Hubert for last because he has, in my opinion, the best ones. So I will say after this AMA, probably about 10 minutes after, we will be back live. It will be myself and Sashay. So anybody who's missed the dulcet tones of Sachet, make sure to tune in. But we're going to be doing the first raffle for the second Metis Visage, which can be earned through tournament participation. So everyone who hosts a hosted tournament that runs will get a Visage automatically. So we've got those folks as well. And then anybody who's participating in any tournament will get an entry into the raffle for another 50 of them. So we're going to do that first drawing. That's for the first 30 days. As a reminder, we are doing this 3 times. So we are in the second 30-day period currently. We'll do that drawing, and then we'll have a third that thing I was going to say, third period of 30 days, and then we'll do some more. So especially, for you Visi lovers out there, like hosting a tournament's $5. It's cheaper than buying a Visi if we were selling it. So this is the only way to get that Visage. So make sure you host some tournaments, hang out, participate in tournaments, have a good time, and get some Visages that we can start seeing in some of these battles. And then Dreamer, over to you. What's new with DFK Chain?
DFK Chain, previously known as the first ever Avalanche subnet, I believe now is officially been converted to an L1. So it's still called DFK Chain, still runs similar, and probably people haven't realized the conversion because it was done so seamlessly by our frisky one last week, I think Friday. But Fox will likely be back in one of these AMA shortly to talk more details, but I wanted to give the update that since last time we're on an AMA, we have converted to an L1. Means a couple of things. One of which is that we don't have to validate Avalanche C chain anymore. Subnet's all required to validate both your subnet chain and the Avalanche main chain or C chain. That also had other requirements because in order to validate C chain, you needed, I think it was 2,000 AVOX per validator, and we had 8 validators. And there were ways over time that we freed up some AVOX that you could kind of like borrow some from another provider, but now that we're converted, we don't need that anymore. So have some AVOX freed up as well. I mean, the levels that was bought at were much higher than they were now, but we still, it's nice to see that and have it for additional costs and other things associated to runway. And I think further details should be provided when Fox is back, but did want to make sure that we highlighted this week we're converted, and we're going to be reaching out to Avalanche to see what kind of narrative that we can share with that. I think it's a cool narrative to see the first ever subnet still live, for one. And for two, I think still with the top transactions, if not among the top. I think we had surpassed 900 million and they're approaching that 1 billion number, which is pretty cool. So yeah, we'll see what kind of marketing we can do, not just with the Avalanche gaming guys who have been supporting us ongoing, but with their main chain. Back to you, Bullon.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Yeah, it's a great milestone. So there will be more coming on that front as well. With that, I'm going to pass it over to Hubert for a couple of updates that will steal the show, which is why I made him wait till last. I wasn't going to follow up on it.
Well then, I guess real quick before I get into those more fun updates, well, I shouldn't say more fun, this is also a fun update, but I did have some statistics on this raffle that's going to be happening afterwards. We had a total of 13 hosted tournaments that ran over that 30-day period. So each of those will be receiving the new Visage just automatically. And then as far as like participants in tournaments in general, we had a total of 696 entries that were counted across 68 wallets or 67 wallets, with the highest entry count of 45, and then several that were just like single individual entries as well. So pretty good turnout. But yeah, we're again, as Bullen said, we will be doing this again for this current 30-day period, and then another 30-day period after that as well. So, and I don't know that we've actually shown you guys what that Visage looks like yet. So hopefully once you see it, you'll regret not participating more in all these tournaments. But let's see. All right, so yeah, getting into my other updates. So I guess first thing to note is that we have officially put our next class into testing. It's now implemented. There are still things that are rough around the edges, but it is testable at this point. So making really great progress there. Kudos to Beetle, who has been burning a lot of midnight oil and getting that out. And okay, and yeah, I guess we did show the Gladiator Visage. So cool. I couldn't remember if we did show that. So thank you for clarifying that. DFK Elite, which I think is shoot.
Spassvogel.
Okay, not who I was thinking. Let's see. And yeah, the other thing is we've been getting a lot of feedback on the tournament system in general. I think the tomato experience of sudden death has kind of created a certain kind of play style that has been irksome to some. It kind of encourages people to delay their turns to get to when that starts happening more, which is not really the most fun if you're not somebody who's doing that and just want to take turns. So we have begun work on a different sudden death mode, and we'll have both options available for those who are hosting to be able to do the current tomato approach or the new one, which will be a bit different. It will hopefully not encourage people to delay their turns as much. And kind of along those same lines, we are also looking to implement a feature that we've been planning to have from the beginning anyway. It just has been kind of blocked by like the animation time issue that we had that has recently been resolved, where animation time was not being counted against the shot clock. Now it is. So now that is kind of in place, we just have kind of one last step to get like banked shot clock time implemented. So we're looking to have both of those things kind of released at about the same time or together in the near-ish future. But it's still being worked on, but hopefully it won't be too far out. So you can look forward to kind of a change up in how sudden death works and also how the shot clock works as well. Once we have the bank shot clock time, I think we will likely turn off the current atrophy system as well. As you'll just kind of have basically a shorter shot clock and then banked time as well that you can eat from. But once you run out of the bank time, you'll just have to live by the shorter shot clock or get the shot clock penalty. So yeah, that is coming, and I think that was everything I had on my list. So
I feel like people didn't properly hear that first update. Could you repeat that one more time?
Yeah, so there were 696 people.
No, sorry, the second.
I knew what you
and troll. All right.
Yes, so a new sudden death mode is coming, and it'll work differently. It will have some similarities.
No, the one before that though.
Oh, what?
The other thing, the thing that's in testing.
Oh, that one too. Yes. Yes, another class. The next class is now in testing. I already made one change based on Sasha's feedback for it. So yeah, it still needs to go through testing. And like I said, the VFX need to be implemented still. Like the art is all there for them, but they just need to be put in and stuff. So it's still, it's still in very much like pre-alpha state, but we are testing it now.
Any alpha or hint that you want to share about that?
It's not Monk.
Perfect. I like it. Awesome. Well, thank you, Hubert. And with that, we are going to roll into some questions. And before we get to before we get to Hubert Hour, we're going to have some Dreamer Hour first. So, Dreamer, hopefully you are ready to go. But question number one, is the overall plan still to expand the game to another 2 realms? And if so, any insight on timing on that front as to what we look for? You know, are we wanting certain things in place in the game? Are we looking for certain like market stability or financial stability within our own runway? Any insight on that front?
Yeah, so I guess to recap, initially when we did the first expansion to Crystalville, we launched, or I guess the Avalanche DFK chain by way of Crystalville. We launched additional classes, and that worked really well to have a unique experience on that chain with the intent to have it depict like the overall like chain persona or brand. When we did the rebranding or relaunching of Serendale from the previous chain to what was known as Klaytn, now Kaya, there was also an opportunity to add additional classes. It works really well if as we expand full realms that include like all the DeFi offerings and questing and everything that the full realms provide, in addition to summoning. We really want to make sure that we have enough hero classes left to go with them. So we've been very cautious to release any new classes, and through any other way. We have 4 more slots left. So that's 2 per potential expansion. We aren't required to have 4. It's just kind of more of a max. That's what we thought would be the max if there were that amount of chains and ecosystems to support it. However, Metis, it's technically not a full realm. So we didn't have a new token. We didn't launch additional classes, but it's got a ton of features in it. They're just very specific to a certain type of gameplay. So more like a limited realm or outpost or mini realm, whichever kind of term you might want to use. And we have unlimited options for mini realms. And we don't know which way the market will go. You know, Bitcoin conference, everybody's saying, as they always do, ETH is dead and Bitcoin's the future, and all these smart contract L2s are going to take over because you kind of accomplish both. A lot of people are saying proof of work is coming back, and who knows what's going to happen with the world of blockchain infrastructure that we build on. We're kind of at the mercy of that. But regardless of which way it goes, I think we have a good plan on how to adjust. But right now, if there were to be a chain expansion or another mini realm, it would most likely be linked to some kind of net positive benefit to DFK players and build by way of technology exposure, marketing exposure, potential exposure to new players, grants that extend runway, or sponsors that sponsor like a very specific feature that it will be integral to next steps. So we're pursuing kind of all of that to see what options we have. We rarely take the first option that comes up. In the past, prior to the Metis deal, we had a number of other offers come through and they just didn't fit right. Maybe they were in a language that would have split the code base that didn't make sense, or a community that we didn't feel as strongly about, or other things that weren't compelling. So to answer the question more, I guess, concisely, yes, the plan is still to have a maximum of 4 main realms, and we are able to have an unlimited amount of mini realms. We're currently looking. We're always kind of keeping our options open and looking. The market's in a funky spot. It has been for a while now, where nobody can really predict what's next. And if altcoin season comes or goes or stays or extended or never comes fully. And I think that a lot of folks with money to spend on these things are waiting for that as well. So yeah, we're doing our best to expand our networks, to build in the meantime, to cultivate our community, and look for those opportunities that are net beneficial to our players in the build.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Speaking of chains, is Synapse our only bridge for major tokens? And if so, do we have a contingency in place if there is an issue? Do we have any concerns with having that like single point of failure within that bridge? Any thoughts on that front?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it comes up every now and then, especially from like a risk management perspective. Oftentimes when you have third-party providers, it's best to have multiple, so that you have backups, so that If one has like a breach or some kind of a risk event, you have others to fall back on. Unfortunately, when we're talking about bridging, that's not necessarily as true. The more bridge providers we have for the same token, just makes it so that those tokens aren't as easily fungible, and is kind of fractured up across LPs and others. So we've always kind of just stuck to, for our main tokens, to one bridge. We use different bridges for different tokens. We've really leaned into Layer 0 and their interface, and they've become a really good partner for other bridges that we've needed. But for those core tokens, I think initially we worked with 2 bridges way back in the day. It's like multi-chain and Synapse. That caused all kinds of issues from a development perspective, from a player perspective. After we saw a number of bridge hacks, we did see Synapse respond pretty maturely at that time. And they released a series of like robust updates on their security that people that are more experts in that region than me seemed pleased with. It seems as though they're still focused on it and they haven't had any type of a breach, knock on wood. But our contingency with these things, it's a little tough. We're at the mercy of them being good actors and taking care of their security and risks and being responsive. In the event that there was an issue, we would have to look at a replacement and what's the remedy and all of the things that we don't control. It's kind of one of the risks that we have to take as a blockchain game, especially one that's on multiple chains. So for now, there hasn't been reason to do a very disruptive shift to another provider, nor is there evidence that there is a stronger provider out there. So I think we have a good partner so far. And if we were to add like diversification, you could argue that it's less risk because there's more providers, but in reality, we just have more risk to more teams that could also have some kind of a risk event. It's just kind of that. In credit risk terms, there's 2 things. There's probability of event and then that loss given event. Currently, the probability of an event is lower because we only have one team we're exposed to. But the loss given event, if they were to have an event, it's kind of all of it, right? So it's a hard problem to solve for. So far, we've just been leaning in on staying close to them and observing if we feel like we lose confidence in their performance or security, and so far we haven't. So we'll continue with that approach to have multiple bridges, but have each bridge only support one token so that we don't fracture that type of liquidity and further confuse the ecosystem of many tokens.
Awesome. Thank you again. Let's see, I got another one for you. Anything you can share on the front of chain partner fund injections? Have we talked to Avalanche or Kaya regarding future grants? Are we viewed as a valuable chain partner? That kind of thing.
Sure. So I will give a little bit of an opinion-based response. I'll start with Kaya. Kaya has been a little bit of a wild ride. It did start with an injection and a token swap and a deal when we went to Klaytn. That was before FTX, which greatly impacted the overall comfort in the main region that they were operating at the time, South Korea. So it's been a little bit of a wild ride with them as they've converted to Kaya. They've merged with Finchia. Have they partnered with Line messaging app? If they step away from Kakao Talk. So our observation in the last year is they're not really as focused on blockchain activity yet. It seems to be that they're more focused on this partnership with Line and building apps within Line that I'm guessing they have plans to incentivize connectivity to blockchain later. I'm not sure. It's a little bit of a question mark over there. We did, prior to this merger and everything happening, we did do a pretty clear proposal that was voted on by the previous leadership on incremental builds on the blockchain. We could consider submitting another, but they actually have a whole submission process on the Line app building, one of which we have submitted an idea for a DFK Line app that really is kind of like a companion app that helps get more exposure to the battle system and other things in DFK. But that wouldn't necessarily be a blockchain build, and even the funding they provide for it, it's pretty limited. It's like they're getting credit for people to get pinged on the Line app, which is very costly, and kind of just sets you up to, after you've expended or used up all your credits, you kind of have a big expense every time you want to ping the audience. So not the best, but it doesn't mean there might not be something in the future, because after they go from their current focus to a blockchain focus, which I expect to happen at one point, because they are a blockchain, maybe there'll be opportunities there. I believe that we're still among the highest in terms of active transactions there, even with very limited incremental builds being released over there. So we'll see. On the Avalanche side, in terms of costs, not capital injections, but costs, they do a number of things for us that save us costs. With majority of our activity happening on DFK chain, there are certain things that we would otherwise have to solve on other chains. And those costs are covered by them. They also work with us very closely on certain things on the tech side, as well as the biz dev side and marketing side. So although not capital injections, they are spending money to support us while also trying to expand their brand through other deals. It's always kind of a bit of a push and pull. Sunbird does a great job working with them. We still have our monthly touch point, and we do see ongoing support. If we are expecting a build-based like injection of capital, I think that's very unlikely. They're very cautious of what they do with that, with their money in general, where many of these other deals that they do. However, they have been open to, if we ever do get back to running like an equity round, that they've always expressed that they would be interested to participate. They probably wouldn't be like the biggest ticket provider, and it's not going to be a huge amount, but they are open to that. Not open to incremental build grants, really with anybody after bringing them in, from what we observe. And the grants that they do close, they're usually very, very strict on their the milestones and everything. So that's probably as transparent as I can be with both. A lot of support from Avalanche. They're pretty clear on what they like to do and don't like to do, and we're operating within that. And then on the meta side, there are ongoing benefits for transactions that are generated over there. I forget what the program is actually called. It is kind of similar to that of what Klaytn and Kaya claimed they wanted to do at one point, but I don't think they really ever did. And that's kind of a gas reimbursement or reward program where the top generators of transactions are rewarded in Metis. And I think part of our deal is we're actually splitting a portion of that for a certain amount of time with them. So that continues to come in, I believe, each month. So yeah, that's the update there. There could be additional build grants negotiated with any of these guys. None of them are progressed currently. We are looking at other opportunities outside of that, and we'll continue to see how we can progress it.
On a related topic that you were kind of bridging to anyway, so it worked really well. Now that we have completed the grant agreement with Metis for PvP, any insight on what source of funding we are currently pulling from?
Yeah, so the grant itself, there were a couple buckets there earmarked for development, earmarked for marketing, and player incentives. We've tried our best to make that last as long as possible. So it wasn't meant to be like, all right, build complete, all of that used up. We have to support the build. We have ongoing tournaments, ongoing marketing, but it's a little tough because we're paid in a variable token that we have very, very strict limitations on how we can sell that, so that we don't end up affecting the price chart. So we've been very active in operating within those boundaries, and that has been the primary source of runway through the build and after. And will continue to be so until we find something else. Other options and levers we have is to reduce the burn. So looking at ways we can cut costs, whether it's overhead or look at hours less needed than in other times. You know, we have to make those sacrifices, and we've done that in the past, and we're willing and looking to do that here as well. When there's opportunities that come up, we turn up the build and at the rate at which we release things. When those are fewer and far in between, and market is not as positioned to have people like do deals and open their pockets and everything, we have to adjust. So Runway is always in flux. We're a little bit different than other teams. Many other teams don't have a team that's been around 3.5 years and that's been together and willing to kind of move with the flow up and down. We do. We have some really great folks, and I think people don't realize how much of a sacrifice goes into the passionate build of this game. But we're committed to do our best to work with what we have, extend the amount that we have through being smart about usage, and hopefully increase that amount through various deals and opportunities throughout this year.
Awesome. Thank you, Dreamer, for all of your series of answers. It's very much appreciated. We will give you a break and move into some Hubert Hour. However, before that, Winston, anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, those were some good games. I feel like I made a mistake in the first one. I should have used my potions a little bit earlier, but I was hoping to run him out of his potions and maybe get him down to making a few tough decisions. But I think I started using mine a little bit too late, and I shouldn't say a lucky barrage, because it's like that's just kind of how barrage works. Like sometimes it hits real good, and you got a good barrage that was like 450 HP, I think, and that I made the decision to heal the archer because I thought like surely a knight will be able to walk it off, or excuse me, surely a warrior will be able to walk it off, and he didn't. He didn't walk it off, so he died, and that kind of threw me off a little bit. I feel like up until that point we were pretty even in the level 20 game. The level 15 game was kind of a blowout. He snuck that big explosion off on me, and that just explosion from the berserker. So I knew it was going to be big, but I didn't think he hadn't done anything to increase his attack yet with the berserker. He just started channeling it, so I thought maybe it won't be that big. But yeah, that wizard in the back just really took it on the chin, just right over there, and he fumbled, but you know, with the what's that thing, repeating shot, man, that thing can clean up and hit. He says he's writing a message, but I'm not reading that shit. I'm just gonna make something up. And yeah, but thanks for the good games, T Heat. Those are fun. I'll get you next time, maybe. We'll see. And so as going forward, the official record shows that you've got 2 wins now. So congratulations. There's no record before this. So there you go. Yeah, thanks, Bolon. Thanks for a moment to talk about those. And I'll just pass it right back over to you.
Yeah, no, that first game for sure was very close. It was very back and forth. And then he finally snuck an edge in on you and took advantage of it very well. So that first one especially was really fun to watch. All right, Hubert, I hope you're prepared. First question for you. Have we given any thought to if we will have an option for unused raffle tickets now that the raffle masters are retiring from their duties?
Yeah, so we tried to give enough warning on that one. You know, I believe it was like an 8-week warning. And I did some math to see like the maximum amount of tickets that I think you could have used if like you joined every raffle immediately, which, you know, is not necessarily realistic for somebody if, you know, they need to sleep and whatnot. But if they are using like some of the botting services out there, I think you know, the max would have been like 6,400,000 tickets could have been used during that period of time. So you know, I don't know how many people were holding on to. I believe the person asked this question said they had about 800,000 left, which you know, I'm not sure that we're going to do anything else. I don't know how many are left at this point, but we can look into it and see, if there are a lot of active wallets that do have a lot left still. We could potentially do something, but we did try to give a long enough warning to like use those up as much as possible. So hopefully you guys were able to do that. But yeah, we'll take that under consideration.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. In our last AMA, you mentioned that Dr. Zipper was currently working on durability. Can you give an overview of what each person's like main focus is at the moment?
Yeah. Let's see. So, yeah, Zipper is working on durability right now. We have Beatles working on. Well, his and now he's kind of more on standby on the new class for a moment while he works on the new sudden death mode and the banked shot clock time updates. But he'll be circling back to like finish up what's remaining on that new class and doing any balance changes that will occur, which there will definitely be some. Let's see. Magnus is also working on durability updates, and Fox was working on the L1 conversion, and supporting on all of that, which I think that's mostly all done at this point. And let's see. So Workhorse, he is working on. He tends to work on a lot of things that are a bit further out. So mostly it's either another class design or like working on helping with balance of upcoming classes or like PvE content. It's kind of bouncing between those things. I myself kind of work on everything that's happening because I kind of have to bounce around between all the things. So I have durability work on my plate. I have a lot. I don't know. I'm all over the place. I'm working on all the things kind of in one way or another, reviewing or designing or other things. And let's see. Typical has been working on pet combat bonuses and is also working on some other new features that we haven't mentioned yet. Kind of quality of life thing that I think will be nice. And then, of course, we have our artists that are generally working a bit ahead on things as well, like things like backgrounds or enemies or equipment, things like that, kind of, or also animations for different skills of different classes as well. So there's kind of I'll just say a blanket statement about that for the art team. And then we of course have Sam, who's always looking to like be ahead on any new music tracks as well. And I think that's everybody. But I know it's not everyone. Pinecone as well has been. He tends to support everything that we're releasing, so durability and other features that are kind of upcoming as well. So it's kind of hard to say like what specifically one thing he's working on, but he's definitely supporting durability at the moment with API integration.
Can't forget Pinecone. Let's see. So next question. Thank you for that overview. The next question, any thoughts on allowing Gen Zeros to be burned for divine essence, but instead of it being burned, it actually comes back to us to then redistribute later as a reward or raffle or whatever we figure out?
Yeah, I do have thoughts. I'll say, I think this is an idea that we would need to take to our tokenomics committee to really say, one way or another. If we were to allow, like personally, I think if we were to allow Gen Zeros to be burned, then I would prefer them to just be burned rather than to just have it be like a free batch of divine essence for somebody that they could maybe get that Gen Zero back in their hands again in the future. But that's just me saying kind of off the cuff. I think we'd have to talk about that in tokenomics because Gen Zeros are so important to the ecosystem of heroes. So, so yeah, I guess that's all I can say on that one.
Cool. Thank you. Would it be possible to have tournament restrictions such as only allowed to bring one healer?
Possible, yes. That would be pretty tricky to do, unfortunately, just because we would need to identify what are the healer classes, and it's not like very straightforward as far as like how the logic would work on that. So, you know, I'm hoping that, you know, I think the concern behind this question is like with stall comps associated with tomatoes and how they play out in tournaments. So I think maybe this question will be addressed in a different way with the new sudden death mode. So yeah, I've mentioned this before, but our tournament contracts in particular are quite full, and we're trying very hard to not have to split the logic of a function into two separate contracts if we can help it. And like adding something like this would likely force us to do that. We're that close to it being full. So I would prefer to avoid doing that. And I'm hoping that the new sudden death mode will, you know, kind of alleviate the concern behind this question.
Cool. Any thoughts on the reasoning for not allowing voting on other matches in a tournament which you are currently competing in?
Yeah. So you know, the thought process there was, you know, if you're in a tournament, you should be in the tournament. Like you should be paying attention to who your opponent is, like thinking about, you know, look at their equipment, be kind of preparing in advance before the fight begins. I mean, it would be possible to change the logic to allow you to vote on about that you're not in. I don't think that would be too major of a change to do. So we could consider it, but you know, I guess that would mean you'd be taking time away from, you know, preparing for your next fight, which was kind of the idea behind that. Was, you know, if you're in a tournament, you're not like in the stands at the same time. So so yeah, that was kind of the logic there.
I will just add as a reminder too, if you are eliminated from the tournament, once you claim your rewards, you can also start voting again.
That is true. Yep.
Let's see. I'm actually going to give you a momentary break and take this next one myself. Have we considered doing more with the YouTube channel to attract new players? Yes, is the short answer. YouTube is actually a really good tool for us, and I'll just say I need to put some additional focus on it. Winston's got some great tutorials on his channel that I actually planned on stealing and putting on our channel. But yeah, there is some good opportunity there. And you know, one thing too that I had meant to look more into was like cross-channel posting, because I think that is an option to where, you know, you guys out in our community who are making content, if we can help amplify that through our channel without just taking your content. I'll take Winston's. I don't want to steal your guys's though. You know, that could be very beneficial as well. So yes, YouTube is a really good tool. It is something that I'm actually planning on spending a little more time digging into some different options there to try to maximize our reach on that front, as well as other social networks, of which there's a new one every week at this point. But yeah, it's definitely good to stay on top of stuff like that. There's a lot of gamers that go on YouTube, Twitch, Kick, etc., which we do actually live stream this to Twitch as well. So awesome. Going back to you, Hubert, any thoughts on having a like streamer mode kind of thing where there's like a transparent box in one corner that is like a slimmed down battle log?
I think that's a good idea. I also think it would be a lot of work for us to do when we have a lot of things we're working on already. So I believe I've seen that one of our community members was actually working on parsing out the battle log previously. So this really sounds like there could be a third-party tool that does this in, you know, a way that's maybe would allow us to not kind of be allocating our resources to doing that right now, because I personally I think that's a great thing to have, but I also think the things we're working on are probably a higher priority than that. So for those community members that are out there, I hope your progress with that is going well. Last I saw like the screenshots, it did seem like that info was getting parsed pretty well. So hopefully there'd be a way to kind of implement that as like an extra tool that people could use as well. Yeah, Dazoth. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly.
Nice. In the battle logs themselves, would it be possible to indicate position and class of the hero? In particular, I think emphasizing on like when it is the target of a channeled ability from your opponent.
Yeah. So we are aware of that issue. I think in the battle log, it does show some info at least, but it may not show like in some parts of the battle log. It definitely shows the position of the hero and the like the class symbol of the hero in addition to its name. But I think there may be other places in there where it does not. So the we could probably update that, but I will also say that we have other ideas for how to address that with some upcoming quality of life updates. So hopefully that question will be answered in a different way in due time.
All things in due time. Let's see. With the new chest rewards that we have added to tournaments, would it make sense to remove the Submersian chest from tournaments that are below level 12, given that they give level 12 gear?
No, I don't think it would make sense unless we were to just change the tournament types themselves. I think, the Submersian chest is kind of baked in as a part of the reward for like entering a $5 tournament. Yeah, some of the tournaments don't use heroes that are of a level that can use that equipment, but I don't think that necessarily means that it's a problem. I think the players that are playing have heroes that could use it still. It's just creating a different play style and letting people who have not as many resources be able to join in and play these kind of higher stakes tournaments. So I don't think we'd be changing that.
Awesome. Oh nope, sorry, wrong question. Any thoughts on lowering the stone cost for swiftness potions to 8 instead of 9?
Perhaps. I know we've kind of turned down the effectiveness of that potion. So we can look into seeing if that is appropriate. And yeah, maybe I'll, I guess Winston, make note if you want to look into that. We can talk about it in one of our balance discussions.
Can do.
Thanks.
Perfect. Any insight into crafting? In particular, do we anticipate it being like questing where you would want more heroes, or more like PvP where you would want a handful of really good crafting heroes?
Yeah, it is still pretty early to say on that. We have been very focused on like combat content, and getting more classes out and fleshing out like what we have to offer as far as like how you use your heroes in combat. So crafting has not really seen very much attention up to this point, and so it's hard for me to commit to say one or the other. I will say that I lean more towards the latter of that, where it's more kind of focused on like very good crafters. But with that said, like we really haven't finalized the design on it yet, so it's hard for me to say more than that.
Awesome. Thank you. When we get burn mechanics for equipment, any insights you can share on how that will work? Can we expect different dust outcomes from different rarities? Are there other factors that could go into it?
Yeah, sure. So yes, you can expect different amounts for different rarities, or like specifically like what the equipment actually is. I will say it's actually set per equipment manually rather than being based on a formula. There are, for example, like Scally's Eye is a good example of a very good piece of equipment that's mythic, that's level 1. There is also another piece of equipment that's level 1 that's mythic called a party hat, and those two are not the same. We did choose to do this as just like each piece of equipment we will assess its value and kind of assign like how much it costs to repair and how much you could potentially get out of it in terms of equipment dust. So yeah, everything will be kind of different there, and then it is also set up in a way where the more damaged the equipment is, the more durability and repairs that have been used up on it, the more you will get out of it when you turn it into dust. So it's kind of like the equipment gets experience by being by being used, and like the more used up it is, the more it can provide that way. If you just go and buy a whole bunch of equipment from like the gold shop and just dust it immediately without doing anything to it, that'll provide you far less than if you had actually like spent time using it.
Awesome. Ooh, that's some alpha. Any plans at the moment for duels, medals, crowns, and rings?
I'd say our plans at the moment are to talk about it, but we haven't talked about it yet.
It's a good plan. I like that plan. Any insight you can give on the next planned release? You hit on a couple things already, so I feel like we kind of answered this question, but if you want to add anything.
Yeah, I'd say, likely you're not going to see anything before we do the the shot clock and sudden death change. So that'll probably be the next thing to be released, like in terms of order on time. With the big things that we've been working on with durability and pet combat bonuses, I'm still unsure which of those two is going to make it first. Like durability is a pretty big feature. And we are implementing it right now, but because of its size, it's also like more likely to have more loose ends or bugs or things that we need to find before we're able to release it. Whereas with the pet combat bonuses, like that one is a different problem in that we need to make sure everything is balanced before we release those. So they kind of have different flavors of things that we're working through, and I'm not quite sure which of those two is going to be first. But I still kind of feel like they're going to end up being kind of close to each other when we end up releasing those. So I'd say those are the kind of bigger things, but it's always possible that we could have some smaller updates that occur in between there as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Let's see. We're going to take one more question and then we will call it a day for this week. However, if you have submitted a question, we've not gotten to it, we will get to it next week. And make sure you keep those questions coming. So this last question, actually, I can take, and if anybody wants to add to it, feel free. But thoughts about making duels a PvE minigame, maybe as a campaign with harder and harder enemies to see how long you can go before you lose. So that actually is a concept that came up a few weeks ago in an AMA, and we talked a little bit about it. I mean, reality is like, that's not duels. That's just building a new minigame. I do think it would be a cool minigame, but probably not something that's going to be getting prioritized or really much focus from us in the short term as we focus on like those main major game features. But yeah, ultimately, like that's just building out a whole new minigame. Awesome. Unless anybody has anything they want to add to that, we will roll into final thoughts of the day. All right. As always, thank you everyone for being here. Thank you to all of those who have tuned in live, as well as those who will listen to this recording later. Special shout out to our listeners on Arena. We are hitting bigger numbers on Arena than we have ever hit before. Greatly appreciate all of you. Thank you for joining us. We will be here every week at this time doing these AMAs. So make sure you come back and hang out with us. Thank you to everybody who submitted questions. As always, you can submit your questions on talk.defykingdoms.com or in the AMA questions channel in Discord. Thank you to everybody on the stage here who has taken time out of their day to join us. Also, in about 15 minutes, myself and Sashay will be live again to do the drawing for the Visage that we are giving away to tournament hosts, as well as everyone participating in tournaments. So make sure you don't go too far and tune back in for that. We will, of course, also post the list of winners in Discord after the drawing. I did also want to mention Zealous built a mini game himself, actually. Speaking of mini games, it's on the helper website. I know he's dropped it in Discord a couple of times. Well, I don't think he can drop it in YouTube chat. If you can, you're welcome to. I don't remember if it'll let you or not. But yeah, go check out the mini game. It's a pretty fun one. Quick, cool, good times. So make sure you give that a shot as well. Outside of that, thank you again for being here. I'm super happy to be here. Was sad to miss a week. Glad to be back. And I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Hubert, any final thoughts?
Let's see. So yeah, I kind of end up saying the same thing every time I have final thoughts, but I just always need to echo how great of a team we have here and how hard everybody works. It's a lot of work to put these things together. Working in a way where we try to put as much functionality as possible onto the blockchain creates very unique problems that we have to solve that I don't think you see in a lot of really in many other places. I think most other like blockchain games tend to do most of their logic off chain, but we're trying to do it differently. We're trying to have everything be verifiable, and you can see what happened and know that it happened because it's following smart contract logic. It also it makes it very fun as well, at least for me, to work on this project and try to put everything together and solve those problems. I looking forward very much to see our durability system come out. There's a lot of improvements there that are kind of just tangential, but coming into it to try to streamline some things and make it so that we can have durability play out in in a pretty straightforward way without increasing gas costs too much. Also just looking forward to getting the next class out, getting pet combat bonuses out, and always as well trying to keep the pulse on the tournament system and how people are liking it, and making adjustments as we can. Hopefully you guys will enjoy the new Visage once we get those airdropped today, and congrats to the winners in advance. Let's see, also looking forward to just a reminder as well that we do have a separate contest going on for heroes that are burned through the Divine Essence system. And that I think we have maybe 10 days left ish. I can't remember how soon, but the cutoff for that is going to be fairly soon. And there were a bunch of prizes already mentioned for that, including a Gen 0, or actually I think 2 separate Gen 0s.
Yep.
Hopefully you guys have been keeping tabs on that, and just you still have some time to get more entries. So you can go visit the altar in either of the locations on the different chains, and if you have more questions about that, you can check out the announcement about that as well. So with that, thank you all for all of your support as always. We really much appreciate all of you and all of your helpful feedback and passion for the game, and just want to keep on building and making progress.
Thank you, Hubert, and we appreciate your consistent final thoughts. Don't let anyone tell you different. Dreamer, over to you. Do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share?
Sure do. Yeah, I think if on the X and all the other platforms, we do see some unfortunate news of some games or gaming KOLs kind of discouraged or having a rough go, and choosing, maybe not to build or follow through on certain things. And when that happens, I hope people just can realize the relative difference of the team at Kingdom Studios building DeFi Kingdoms over the years it's not our first rodeo, and the market will do what it does, and we'll have factors we don't control that impact our rate of build. But man, we love this game, and we are still just getting started, and it's still so early, not only for us, but in the space as well. We need folks like our community and our game and our team to continue to lead the way in resilience and innovation and believing in the dream of blockchain gaming. It isn't just about riding a hype train and benefiting from a minimal build on, being very opportunistic, like I feel like many do, even if they don't intend to. We hope that we will continue to attract others that want to play, want to build, and want to believe in that dream of owning your assets, having a better ecosystem live on the blockchain, and making it continually more and more fun. And I'm excited that we teased a little bit a new class coming. I think it'll be really awesome to add to the mix. And there's one queued up right behind that. We're really trying to be focused on features. During the PvP build, there are a lot of features that we had planned out, but we can only build so much in a certain order at a limited rate. So hopefully people are happy with the builds that we're putting in, with the adjustments to the existing builds based on feedback that we're getting. They're happy with every 3 months that you look at the game, it's different than the prior 3, over and over and over. It may not be completely perfect for everybody's preferences, but it definitely is progress, and hopefully people are happy. When we look around and see some negative news, it is a bummer, but it should also add to the appreciation of the amazing product, game, team, and community that we have. So thank you to everybody that's continued to support, to create content, to make mini games, to support things through gameplay, community building. That's what's kept us here, and hopefully we'll keep the dream going. So big thanks to everybody, and I hope that we see some of these guys come back that are pausing, that maybe we'll see some of the KOLs focused more on the genuinely built games like ours. We're doing the work on our side. We don't control what people do. We'll hope for the best and keep working for that best for everybody here and those that are listening later.
Thank you, Dreamer. And as always, lovely to have you here with us. Winston, last but not least, any final thoughts and anything to share from T-Heat?
Yes, 2 yeses actually. From me, it's just always such a pleasure, and it's like a gift to be able to come up here and talk to you guys and see how excited everybody is about it. And it's a gift to me. I'm not saying like I'm giving you all a gift by coming up here.
Your presence is a gift to all of us.
What's that?
Your presence is a gift to all of us.
Thanks, Bolon. But no, thank you for being a part of this, and thanks for hanging out with us, and thanks for playing. I'm glad that people are having fun playing, and it's really cool. We don't always fill every tournament, and we don't always get tons of traction on every new feature, but I'm glad that as each one rolls out, some people are excited about it, and they can play the part of the game that they like the most. So that's my favorite thing about the game right now. There's so many ways to play, and it's a lot of fun. Real quick, 2 shout outs. Go play Zelly's game. It's I think we pinned it in Discord. If we didn't, someone should look into that. We'll pin that. We'll look into pinning that. Go check it out. Go play it. You spend a lot of time on that. Looks really cool. It has an aspect of knowing DeFi Kingdoms and an aspect of chance, if I understand correctly how it's played. So I haven't checked it out yet. I got to go over there and do it. Secondly, the second shout out to the Goose Gang, the honks for sponsoring the Void Hunts again for another. I think they said like 6 years, right? So they're just gonna fork over
a 10-year agreement.
Bird tokens. We might go 100% bird tokens. I don't know, man. But shout out to the Gooses. Thank you so much for taking care of the community and being cool in the chat and helping people. If you need a guild or are curious, if you want to learn about some weird stuff, go check out their chat. It's in our guild thing in Discord. So, but yeah, I am Super B Word. Thank you, everybody. I got something from T Heat here. So I'm going to read that, and then that's going to be the official, that's going to be the bullish. So he says, and I'm reading this word for word. I did not change this at all. He says, thanks, Winston, for putting up a great fight today in these AMA bouts. You were well on your path to splitting the bouts per usual until you decided to gift me the first bout. I did. It kind of blew it at the end there. That's me. I'm sneaking in. And then he goes on to say it was all downhill from there, but fun nevertheless. Thanks to the DFK team for their continued hard work on the project. Keep it up. And as always, bullish. Bullish.
Bullish.
Bullish.
Thank you all, and we'll see you next week.
DeFi Kingdoms, where you can summon heroes, trade with other players, quest, and fight challenging enemies in a fantasy world brought to life in pixel art animation. Command your legion, claim your legacy.